Hi, I'm Mrs. Hannah Angelin. In this video, we are going to discuss about the deflection of determinate pin-jointed plane frames by unit load method. In my previous lectures, I have discussed about the deflection of determinate rigid-jointed frames and beams by unit load method. If you have missed watching it, the link is given in the description box. Kindly watch it. Let us go into this video. Virtual work method is also called as unit load method. Here, strain energy is denoted as stress by Young's modulus, or I can write it as load by area into Young's modulus. Displacement for a small element delta can be given as integral P dash E dV, where P dash is the stress due to unit load, E is the strain due to the applied load. I can equate the displacement as a summation of P dash E into dV. Instead of dV, I can write it as the multiplication of area into length, that is volume. Stress can be denoted as force in the member due to a unit load denoted by small k divided by the area of the member. I can write displacement as summation of the product between P dash E, A and L. P dash is the stress, E is the strain, A is area of cross section and L is length of the member. Instead of P dash, the stress due to unit load, I am going to replace that with the notation K by A. K is the force in the member due to unit load. So small k by A, instead of strain, I will write P by AE we derived earlier, area into length. So my final deflection equation goes like this, summation of P K L by AE. Since it is a pin jointed structure, I do the summation of these values for each axial member. So here we have a multiplication of capital P, or it can be denoted as F, both are same. The force in all the members due to the given loading, the force in all the members due to a unit load acting in the direction of the deflection being calculated, that is denoted as K. L is the length of the member, A is the area of the member and E is Young's modulus. Let us see some worked out examples. A simply supported plane truss is shown here. Vertical and horizontal deflection of joint C is asked. We shall see how this can be calculated by the principle of virtual work or unit load method. A simply supported frame is shown. We are asked to calculate the vertical deflection at C and the horizontal deflection at C. To determine the deflection, we have equations FKL by AE or PKL by AE. Step 1 will be calculation of the F values or the P values, that is axial forces due to the given load. To find the axial forces due to the given load, a first and foremost step, for the given loading, we need to calculate what are the reactions. We have static equilibrium equations, sigma MA equal to 0, sigma V equal to 0 and if required sigma H equal to 0. I can make use of these static equilibrium equations to find the unknowns at the supports or the support reactions. Here it is determined as RA as 25 kilonewton, RB as 75 kilonewton. So after determining the reactions, my aim is to solve at each joint to find the axial forces in the members of the truss due to the given load in the system. I have denoted as capital F or in sometimes capital P. To determine the axial forces, I have solved by the method of joints. Let me start from joint A because I have two members coming out from joint A and the member forces in these two members are the unknowns. I make use of these two equilibrium equations to write equations to solve to find the axial forces in the two members. I have assumed tension in both the members to begin with, that is tension at joint A. If I resolve along the horizontal direction, the force along AB will be in the positive x direction. Angle is measured from this base, so resolving the force in AC along the horizontal AB direction will be positive. It will be plus FAC cos theta, that is given here, plus FAC cos theta. Sigma Fy equal to 0. I have a force 25 kilonewton, that is a reaction going in the positive y direction. So plus 25. If this inclined member AC is resolved vertically, the force along the vertical direction, since I have assumed tension, it will go in the positive y direction. So plus FAC into sine theta, because theta being measured from the horizontal base. The other side will be sine 30. When I solve these two equations, I get the unknowns and the forces in these two members at joint A. Same way at joint B. At joint B, there are two members coming out, BA and BC. The value in BA, the force in BA is determined as 43.3 kilonewton tensile. Force in AB is same as force in BA. Both the ends of the member has the same type of force. If one end has a tensile effect, the other end also will have a tensile effect. The unknown here is BC. I make use of any one equation to find what is the unknown in the member BC. I made use of the relation sigma Fy equal to 0. If I resolve this member BC force along the vertical direction, it goes along the positive y direction. So 75 is along positive y direction. The vertical component of the force along BC will go in the positive y direction. So I write here plus FBC into sine 60. Why I write here sine 60? Theta is measured from this base. Resolving along the vertical direction will be sine of the angle included. Plus this 75 positive direction plus 75 equal to 0. Solving, I get the axial force in the member BC. Now axial forces in AC is determined, AB is determined and BC is determined. Step 2 is axial force calculation due to a unit vertical load at C, because we are determining delta VC. The axial forces due to unit vertical load at C is denoted as kV. Two unknowns are there in the problem, that is delta Vc and delta Hc. I differentiate the values of K by kV and kH. So here I have made a note as kV. Same way, for the unit load applied at C to determine delta Vc, our aim is to find the reactions. So for this unit load, we have determined what are the reactions, that is shown here by the equations of static equilibrium. Next, by the method of joints, with these reaction values, same as that what you have done already. At joint A, I have drawn the free body diagram. There are two members AB and AC. The reaction for the unit load is 0.25 kilonewton. The force is assumed to be tension to begin with in both the members. Let the notation be KVAB. Why I write here KV? This denotes the axial force calculation for vertical deflection. So KVAB, KVAC. Sigma Fx equal to 0 and sigma Fy equal to 0 are the two equilibrium equations. So at joint A, if I make use of sigma Fx equal to 0, I write all the x directional force, whether it goes in the positive x or negative x, and form an equation. See here, the force in AB, remember KVAB goes in the positive x direction. So here it is positive KVAB. Angle is measured from this horizontal. Resolving the member force in AC along the horizontal direction will be cos theta. So KVAC into cos theta will be the horizontal component of the force in the member AC. Since there is no horizontal load or reaction to be equated, the value is 0. Next, sigma Fy equal to 0 along the vertical direction. Summation of all the member forces, loads, reactions in the vertical direction has to be equated. You have here 0.25 going in the positive y direction, so plus 0.25. If the member force in AC is resolved vertical, the vertical component also goes in the positive y direction, so we have here plus KVAC into sine 30. So summation is equated to 0. Solving these two equations, I get the values of KVAB, KVAC. That is what is shown here. The member force in one more member has to be determined, that is KVBC. So I have considered joint B. So at joint B, there are two members shown. The value of BA is already known by determining the value of AB. With the reaction at B, I made use of the relation sigma Fy equal to 0. So 0.75 in the positive direction and vertical component of the inclined member force KVBC sin 60 going in the positive direction, both positive. An equation is formed. Finally, the unknown is determined. Now the three member forces is calculated for a unit load applied at joint C. To determine the horizontal deflection at C, unit horizontal load alone has to be applied at C and the axial members has to be determined. That is denoted as KH values. I have applied a unit horizontal load at C. It can be in positive X or a negative X direction. I have taken in this direction. So for this I have a horizontal reaction. For this load I can calculate what are the vertical reactions by the equations of static. Same way, by method of joints, I am going to apply at each joint to determine what are the axial forces in each member by this unit horizontal load. Joint A, there are two members. Resolving, I write equations along these two equilibrium equations and I get the values of the unknowns KHAB and KHAC. I denote KH for the axial forces due to a horizontal load at C. There are three members in this truss, AB, AC and BC. So drawing free body diagram at B, I can write equation for determining KHBC. Finally, capital F values are determined for all the three members. Directions are shown. KV values are determined for all the three members by taking a unit vertical load at C. KH values are determined by applying a unit horizontal load at C. With these values, a tabulation is filled in. This tabulation has capital F values, KV values, KH values, length of each member, product between F, KV and L as this column, product between F, KH and L in this column for each member. There are three members in the truss. So vertical deflection is determined as a summation of F, KV, L by AE. So this summation of F, KV, L can be had from this tabulation. So directly I can substitute. Since the area and Young's modulus are same for all the members of the truss which is given in the problem, I have substituted with the same units. Finally, I can calculate what is the vertical deflection at C. Same way, horizontal displacement at C can be calculated as summation of F, KH, L by AE. Summation of F, KH and L can be directly got from this tabulation. Since A and E are same for all the members, at the end I have just put one substitution to get the horizontal deflection. So the steps involved in the calculation of deflection, either horizontal or vertical. Capital F values are determined for the given loading system, that is the axial forces in the members of the truss for the given loads. For determining vertical displacement, KV has to be determined, that is the axial forces in all the members of the truss due to a unit vertical load at C. Next, to determine the horizontal displacement, we apply a unit horizontal load at C and determine the axial forces in all the members of the truss. Finally, substituting in the relation, we get the vertical and horizontal displacements at the point asked. Next problem, vertical deflection at the cantilever end C has to be determined. It is also given that cross-sectional area of bottom chord members is twice that of other members. Bottom chord member area is given as 1200 mm squared. This is twice that of the other members. So we can finalize that the area of the other member is a half of this 1200 millimeter square, that is 600 millimeter square. We shall see the solution. We are asked to find the vertical deflection at C. Loads are being given in the problem. With this given load, we determine what are the axial forces in the members of the truss. That becomes our capital F values or capital P values. This is our first step. Our second step will be, since vertical deflection is asked at C, all the given loads are removed and only unit vertical load at C has to be given and the member forces has to be resolved. That gives me kV values. Finally, delta can be written as summation of FKL by AE. In step 1, capital F values are determined due to the given loads. At joint C, there are two equilibrium equations. I can make use of these two equilibrium equations to determine the two member forces at C. Taking the load at C and the member forces, resolving along the directions of x and y, two equations are written and solved simultaneously to get the values of member forces FCD and FCB. Since it is a cantilever frame, pin jointed frame, I can start from the cantilever end because there are two members as unknown and there is not a need for me to calculate the reactions. Next, I go to joint B. So at joint B, there are three members coming out. The value of one member is already known. The other two members, I have assumed tension in these two members to begin with. Then sigma fx, sigma fy equal to 0 equilibrium equations are written. At joint B, what all member forces, reactions and loads acting in the positive directions is considered to write sigma fx equal to 0. At joint B, what all member forces in the vertical directions, if any loading or reactions has to be calculated, that has to be written in the sigma y equal to 0 expression, solved simultaneously to get the values of the member forces in BA and BD. The member forces are denoted as capital F values because we are taking the given loads for determining the axial forces. Now I go to joint D. At joint D, there are four members coming out. Values of two members are already known. The two member forces DE and DA are the unknowns. To begin with, I have assumed tension at the joint in the members DE and DA. Sigma fx equal to 0 and sigma fy equal to 0, the two equilibrium equations are written at joint D. Summation of all the x directional force is equated to 0. Summation of all the y directional force is equated to 0. Solve simultaneously to get the values of FDE and FDA. For the given loading, we have analyzed, solved to get the member forces in all the members of the truss. Step 2, axial forces due to unit vertical load at C denoted as K. All the given loads are removed and only vertical load at C has to be given. We can take in any direction, downward or upward. I have assumed in the downward direction. So starting from C, I can start resolving by method of joints and go to the other end because there are two member forces unknowns are present at C. I have two equilibrium equation. At each joint, when I start resolving, I assume tension and I start and proceed towards the other end. So if the answer I get here is plus 1.414, that is the direction I have assumed is right. If I get a negative answer, then my tension can be changed to compression with a positive sign. I have taken all answers whatever I have get by resolving as it is and I have marked the tension direction. At joint C, these two member forces can be resolved. So after determining these two, I can go to joint B. There are two member forces unknown now. Then I go to B, resolve to find the member forces in these two members. Then I go to joint D. Now I have two member forces as unknown. Then I can find these two member forces. That is shown here. You can see, you can follow step by step to see what are the member forces in all the members of the truss. Each joint is dealt separately and the values of K, that is for only vertical unit load at C, is determined. Next, the values are filled in this tabulation. Members are shown here. Capital F values for each member, that is the result of step 1, is filled in here. K values, what we have obtained from step 2, is written here. The length of each member is shown. The area of bottom chord members is 1200 millimeters square, made a note here, and the area of the other members is half of that. That is what we read in the question, is substituted here. And finally, F, K, L by A are the variants, so only those are written here, and finally found the summation. Since Young's modulus is the same for all the members of the truss, I have substituted directly in the relation what is the value of Young's modulus. The vertical deflection at C is determined by unit load method. Next problem. Horizontal deflection at joint C is asked. Due to the given loading, we need to determine delta HC, that will be our first subdivision. If there is a temperature variation in member BC alone, what can be delta HC? That will be our second subdivision. If member AB is 8 mm shorter, in that case, what can be the horizontal deflection at C? That calculation will be our third step. So there are 3 subdivisions in the problem. We shall go one by one. So in all these subdivisions, we need to determine delta HC, that is a common unknown. In step 1, the axial forces due to given load, that is capital F values, are determined. So let us check whether we can start from A or D or C. Since it is a pin jointed truss, let me start from A because there are 2 members coming out. We can also start from C. If I start from A, I should know what are the reactions at A. That is, I have a HA value, horizontal reaction, because there is a horizontal loading at B. With 60 kilonewton, we need to determine what is RA and RD. So that will be a first step of analysis. So making use of equilibrium equations, sigma MA equal to 0, sigma V equal to 0 and sigma H equal to 0, we determined what are the values of the unknowns at the support, that is RA, RD, HA. We make use of these unknowns if that joint is considered for our analysis. Let me start from joint A because there are 2 members coming out from joint A. So 2 equilibrium equations are there, sigma Fx equal to 0 and sigma Fy equal to 0. Based upon method of joints, to begin with, tension is assumed in the members connecting at joint A. Sigma Fx is written as summation of all the horizontal direction forces and reactions and loads, if any, at A. So FAD is positive, assumed direction is tension, it goes in the positive x direction. Assumed direction is tension. When the member force in AB is resolved horizontal, even that goes in the positive direction. So FAB into cos 45 will be in the positive direction. Apart from that, I have a 60 kilonewton horizontal reaction going in the negative direction. Based upon the directions of x, we write the equation sigma Fx equal to 0 and equate it to 0. Sigma Fy equal to 0 is our second equilibrium equation. Same way, all the vertical direction reactions of forces and member forces has to be considered for writing the second equation, sigma Fy equal to 0. From 1 and 2, I can solve to find the unknowns in the member AB and AD due to the given load system. At joint D, there are 3 members coming out. So at D, DC value is unknown, DB value is unknown. dA value is known in the previous step. So the member forces in the unknown members is assumed to be tension. I write equations along sigma Fx and sigma Fy. Solve, get the values of the member forces along dB and dC. Then we have one more member at joint C. I make use of any one equilibrium equation. to find the unknown FCB. This will be the end of step 1. Next step, axial forces due to horizontal unit load at C has to be determined, that is denoted by K. Why we determine K values? To determine the horizontal deflection at C, we need to substitute the values of F, K, L by AE. F is calculated in the previous step. Now we determine what are the values of K. To determine K, I give a unit horizontal load at C. Why I have given at C? Because horizontal deflection at C is asked. With this unit horizontal load, the reactions at A and D has to be determined. Based upon the static equilibrium equations, the unknowns at supports A and D has to be determined. You have got the values and the directions. With these reactions, I resolve at joint A. I can determine the value of KAD, KAB. Then I go to joint D. I make use of these two equilibrium equations again, dB and dC, by resolving at joint D. Then one more member is there, that is CB, that can be resolved by taking at joint C. So in all these three joints, we have sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, two equilibrium equations, because it is a plane truss, two-dimensional truss. If there are only one member coming out, that is if the axial force in only one member is unknown, I can make use of any one equilibrium equation. So the values of K are determined for each member. Now the horizontal deflection can be determined for the given loading. Members are written, capital F values are written, that is the axial forces in all the members of the truss due to the given loading. Small k values, the axial forces in the members of the truss due to a unit horizontal load at C. L values, the length values which I have determined, and multiplication of F, K, L, because area and E is same, that is given in the problem. So finally, I put the value of A and E all in same units and delta HC is determined. That is the end of first subdivision. Our next subdivision is to determine delta HC for temperature rise in member BC alone. If any member undergoes temperature variation, then the horizontal or vertical deflection in the truss at any point can be determined by the product of force in the member due to unit load, length of the member, coefficient of linear expansion, and the temperature rise or fall in the member. KBC we have determined previously. KBC, that is CB 1.414. Okay, I have written here. Length of BC, that is determined here. Alpha, coefficient of linear expansion, is given in the problem, that is written here, and the temperature rise is shown here. Finally, delta HC is a product of KL alpha T of the member which underwent temperature rise. If it is the temperature fall in any member, then the value of temperature will be negative. So delta values, you may get a negative sign. Third subdivision, we were asked to determine delta HC for member AB which was 8 mm too short. Delta HC can be determined as K into delta L, that is the amount of shortening or elongation in any member, that is denoted as delta L. If it is too short, we write it as a negative value. If it is elongated or if it is long, then we have this in positive value. K of AB, I write here. Delta L of AB, that is given in the problem as 8 mm short, so minus 8. Answer is directly written in millimeter. In this video, we discussed about the deflection calculation, both horizontal and vertical, indeterminate plane trusses, due to given loading alone, due to temperature rise or fall, and also due to lengthening or shortening of any member. Thank you.